nonetheless, we are here and we are happy and we are grateful and we are honored to have you tonight. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. And I'm so glad to see the entire of Africa here with us. And that is such an honor to have you. And as we're having this conversation about transformational leadership. My name is Grace Nzula, and I am an HR consultant and trainer with Atara Solutions. Atara Solutions is a HR consulting and training company, and we are located here in Nairobi, but we do business where you call us to come and do business. And Atara Solutions is a HR consulting company. We offer what we call HR manager outsourced for organizations that require HR support. We also offer HR consultancy. If you want us to review your policies, if you want us to do your job evaluations, salary surveys, HR audits, we can support you in whatever HR needs that you have. We also do what we call recruitment and selection for the positions that you may be looking to fill. And we also offer learning and development. That is where this program comes into play. And tonight you're here. This is called Get It Right with Atara Solutions. And we offer quite a number of trainings, all HR trainings and soft skills trainings as well. So we are very, very happy to have you tonight. And this conversation, we started having this conversation in 2020. And we are happy to report that we are 5 years down the line and we're on the 6th year now. However, season-wise, we're on season 7, going to season 8. And allow me to just probably just quickly invite you to the 2 events that we are running this week and closer to next week. So because we would like you to partake of the conversation we will be having, please don't be left out. And this Thursday, we have WIBA, that is Work Injury Benefits. Work Injury Benefits Act, or rather, what? Yes, Act. We are discussing about how you can safeguard your organization on matters work injury and injuries in the workplaces and their safety technically in the workplace. And that is what we shall be discussing on Thursday. If you have not gotten an opportunity to book your slot, please do so that then you are not left out for that conversation. And yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. We will be having this conversation this Thursday at 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Please join us. And if you haven't paid, you need to. That is 2,800. And we have Dr. Melanie Murgor, who will be taking us through. She's an occupational health practitioner and also a medical doctor, so who works at the OSH office. But that is the conversation we will be having on Thursday. So please do join us. And tonight, we are all about transformational leadership. And that is what we will be looking into. And tonight I'm very, very excited because of the conversation we are about to have, but more importantly, the conversation that we are building up to. And so we want to invite you to the Africa Transformation Leadership Conference. I want to welcome Richard. Richard, you can introduce yourself as I fix this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you've heard, my name is Richard J. Magoma. Richard J. Magoma is a human resource professional of very many years. I specialize in training, public speaking, so that you can attract those lucrative opportunities like the ones that Sarah is welcoming all over the world. You have to speak very well. And I also prepare people for interviews. And I am very excited to have Sarah tonight. I saw Sarah, was it 2 years ago, Grace, during International Women's Day at the awesome Windsor? Yes. So over to you, Grace, and we are going to have a very insightful evening.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are very, very excited. And of course, we have our sign language interpreter, Madam Catherine Sidandi. Catherine Sidandi does an amazing job job in making sure that we are inclusive and making sure that we are supporting those that have hearing impairment. And we would like you to inform those that so at this point in time, I would like to, oh yeah, so I was talking about Catherine Sidandi. I've seen Sarah in my head, just went to Sarah. And but Catherine Sidandi is our sign language interpreter. And thank you, Catherine, for an amazing job. So if you're looking to learn how to sign language, please get in touch with Catherine Sidandi, and she can offer you private classes. But if you also want to be given classes for a group, then she's able to support you on that. And she's also a social worker. So if you are looking for a social worker with the sign language interpretation, look no further than Catherine Sidandi. And tonight, we are all about transformational leadership. And I am very, very excited. Sarah will be one of our speakers at the Africa Transformational Leadership Conference that will be happening on from 1st to 3rd of October here in Nairobi, and I will be sharing more details about that in a bit. But at this point in time, allow me to bring in Sarah. I think I do not want to say she needs no introduction, but she's also a businesswoman. So if she does not introduce herself, what do you think she's going to make herself beautiful with if you're not giving her business? So come on board, Sarah, and you can introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you, Richard. And hi to Catherine. You're doing a really great job. My name is Sarah Rich. I'm a certified executive coach. I'm a human development expert. I'm afraid of even saying how many years. It's almost 30 years. Gosh. And I'm sure that gives you a base for how old I must be.
Oh,
I've
yes.
got 6 children. I am happily married to one man. In Kenya, we keep saying one man. I have 3 adult kids, and we are just discussing with Grace earlier, and I'm sure it will come into the discussion about motherhood and balancing that with leadership. And I've been in a leadership role since my mid 30s, a very, very, senior leadership role. My last employed role was as a global director in a tech company, and I was overseeing around 26 geographies across 5 continents, 19 of those countries in Africa, the continent. Today, I'm a master trainer. I am a double global award winner when it comes to speaking, and I'm excited to be here today to share my thoughts.
Excellent. And we are happy to have you tonight. We are really, really honored and privileged that you could join us. And Sarah, we want to talk about transformational leadership. And sometimes our topic was beyond titles. So what is this thing about titles that people have to when it comes to leadership? Ebu kwanza unpack that one.
We're in Africa. Can I talk like an African, eh?
Yes, please. Please.
Titles are a big deal for us on the continent. They are a big deal. They are the way we go to the office and feel the pride of our job title. We come home and you tell your spouse, you know what, my title has moved from, I don't know, I was an officer, now I'm a supervisor or a manager or a director. I remember the first time I was called a director. Hey, I felt like, I can point, go left, you go left, go right, you go right. So there's a big deal, especially on the African continent around title. And I think title is very cultural as well. As I moved across the globe, I found that there are people who really didn't care about those titles, but more around the responsibilities or the power that a job carries. So some of it really has a cultural connotation to it. And so I must acknowledge it's important to some people in society. But I think as you grow in leadership and you hold so many different job titles, you start to realize what really, really matters is something more deeper. And that's why maybe when you look at the self-actualization matrix, you find that the higher you go, these things stop really mattering. And what matters is your legacy and what you leave behind.
Mm, I hear you, and I like that you saying that at, hey, because sometimes if you look at Africans, it makes a lot of sense that we like titles and we want to stick by them. But when we talk about transformational leadership, what are we really talking about?
So basically, a
Sarah,
transformational leader is a
did
leadership
you hear
style.
me?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I hope everybody else can hear me clearly. Yes, Grace, you're
Can.
breaking. I'm seeing somebody say that, but yes. So I have your question. Transformational leadership is a leadership style, like several other leadership styles, out here. But why it is very, very important to understand what it is. It's a very personalized approach to people. So it is people centered. A transformational leader understands the character of the people that they are leading and then tailors their approach. So the way I lead Grace is not the way I lead Richard or Catherine. It's more considerate to who you are and what your needs are. So I always say a transformational leader does the hard work of getting to know you. Secondly, a transformational leader is naturally very charismatic. They can make people very willing to follow because they role model a lot of their vision. They role model a lot of their mission. They are about something. They're not just leading for the sake of leading. They are about something. And usually it's something deep and something meaningful, especially to the people that they are leading. And if not, then they can sell the meaning. Let me tell you, I work in service and it's one of the hardest things to sell. It's easy to pick a product like a Coke bottle or water, whatever brand, but it is not easy to touch that which is intrinsic. Something so soft, it's untouchable, yet so hard, it stays forever. So that's what a charismatic leader or a transformational leader can do. Secondly, no, third, they are also very keen to transform people's lives. They motivate, they inspire. The other day, I was training a company that I work with on inspirational leadership, and I was defining for them the key things that you need to inspire. Because I keep saying there are two types of leaders that get things done. There's those people, two ways of getting things done. One way is to be nasty. And let's not lie. I have enough experience to tell you, you can be nasty and get things done. You will get results. You will shout, you will scream, you'll push people, you'll micromanage, you will MBF, managed by fear, and you get things done. I've coached people who are proudly sitting and telling me, Sarah, I turned around that company. I turned around the operations. I brought results to the table. I did it by any means, but I did it. So nasty people get things done, but nice people equally get things done. So there are two ends. And I keep telling leaders when I'm coaching them or when I'm working with them, which one is sustainable for you? Even for your own mind and heart. Which one is sustainable for you? Which one makes you sleep at night? Which one makes you happy to call yourself a leader, even to your children? Which one makes you happy to meet this employee 10 years later and say, I was your leader and I did this? So nice also gets things done. But to get things done, Catherine, when you're nice, to transform people by being kind, genuine, and nice is a much harder job because also the other side of it is people might want to take advantage of you. So charismatic leaders understand how to navigate the nuances of getting people to do stuff, hard stuff, easy stuff, good stuff, needed stuff, get it and feel like they were willing to actually do it. They were pushed, but it was just enough push to put pressure, not stress. That's a transformational leader.
Hmm. Just enough to put pressure. Where? Can you hear that? Are you guys writing notes? Because this is going to be conversational, and I hope you're writing down notes and you're also preparing your questions and putting them on the Q&A as we continue with this conversation. Now, Sarah, many people want to believe. In fact, if we did a poll just here, with the people on this call, would you like to be how many people here want to be leaders? And we can even just try that. You can type on the chat if you want to be a leader. Just tell us why. Just type why. If you aspire to be a leader, if you want to be a leader, just type why. We can test that, because a lot of people want to be in leadership because of the title as well. It could also be because of the money. It could be because of, I have no idea what other motivators are there to make people want to be leaders. But what are these inner shifts? And you can probably use an example that can make you truly a transformational leader.
First of all, and when I teach seasoned leaders, there's very few things they feel they need to learn because they're seasoned. You understand? People who've led for very many years. But one of the things probably I'll share as an example, because I see even seasoned leaders go away with an aha moment out of such a class or such a coaching, and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Is leadership humility and leadership vulnerability. So, leadership humility and leadership vulnerability is about emotional intelligence. A transformational leader knows how to navigate their own emotions and therefore the emotions of their team members or other people who are following them. They understand emotion is data and it is fuel. So I keep telling people you can get anything done. It's just sometimes we go at the wrong time to ask for things, or we push people at the wrong time or to the wrong extent. Therefore, using a clear example, I had a team, a huge team, to be honest. I'm sure some of them are sitting here. They usually come to my sessions. Now, in that team, I have raised almost 12 leaders, some of them holding roles bigger than I ever held. So I told you in my role, I had 26 geographies in 5 continents. I have people who come from that team who have 40 geographies. I mean, the scope is just mind blowing. But every time we meet, they still have the humility of seeing me as a leader. Because remember, leadership is beyond the job title. If it was just about the job title, it's management. So you are simply a manager to them, but you are not a leader. I keep saying the difference is a manager manages tasks, a leader leads the heart. So if you lead the hearts of people, you will have those people who, even if they meet you on the road, they will remember something that you transferred. And that's where transformation happens. It's inside out. When I posted on Facebook, for instance, and I said, I'm coming to speak on this, I just did a little small paragraph and I said, a transformational leader is that leader that leaves something in that they did, something in their behavior that then becomes contagious. And the people that they worked with, and I say people worked with me, they don't work for me. And again, language is very key in transforming people's heads and hearts. I don't call even my interns an intern. I will never introduce you in a meeting as an intern. And if you're here, you've worked with me, you know that. I'll always say my colleague, regardless of what role I hold and you hold. So a charismatic leader has verbal dexterity. They really are very careful with words. While just normal leaders or managers, if you use any word, my subordinate is insubordinate or something like that, I would not use words that I don't find respectful to myself. So that leadership humility, that being genuine about people's feelings, that consideration, that's why I started off by saying that consideration. President Barack Obama said, be the change that you want. I keep saying, be the leader that you'd want as your leader. So always paradigm shifting into the shoes of the other person. How would they feel with these words? How would they feel with what you're saying, what you're doing? So when I posted on Facebook, I got a few calls, but one phone call stood out for me. And it's a lady who works somewhere. I'm not going to mention it, but it's a big institution. I told you, Grace, so you know this case. And she said to me that even after so many years later of having worked within a team, every time, and she's been led by 3 or 4 maybe people in between in her career. She keeps noticing the behaviors that I used, those things when I had lunches with her, when I had deep talks, when I had performance conversations. And for me, again, when we are discussing performance, it's a conversation. I'm not talking at you, but we talk to each other. I understand where you're coming from, you understand where I'm coming from. So she said to me, even the times when I pushed them and I apply pressure, by the way, being nice doesn't mean you don't apply pressure because you understand pressure is good. It grows. In fact, I've written, I think, a post on my LinkedIn about the importance of bosses who apply pressure. Or the title, me and titles, The Boss from Hell, and how they keep you awake, they make you grow, they make you think on your feet, they make you not, do shallow, shoddy work. So, but they also have the radical candor of challenging you directly, but caring deeply on the other side. And she said, that is what you left in me. I don't know when, I don't know how, but there is something that I know this is what Sarah just passed on to me. And I passed that on to my team. It's hard to do it, but it's something that if you are consistent with the way you behave when leading others, that's how you transform them. You don't need to write emails and tell them do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't need an agenda or a template. Absolutely not. You are the template. Your behavior is the agenda because people read it and people either align with it or move away from it. And leadership is about having people who, even though you are their manager, they are willing to be led by you.
Mm, So, and you spoke about emotional intelligence, and I've seen Moges is commenting about emotional intelligence, and maybe we can also unpack that. How, because emotional intelligence is a muscle that we need to really build to be able to influence or just go beyond the authority and the title that is given. So, how can we intentionally build that muscle?
And it's a subject I teach. One thing we have to understand, it goes alongside the other intelligences. So you can't just be emotionally intelligent and lead. You also need good IQ. So cognitive intelligence is also important. But let me stick on emotional intelligence for a minute. I keep telling people in organizations, the person at the very top, that is the MD, the ED, the executive director, name it, whatever it is, they are not the smartest of the whole organization, not necessarily. They might be, but I can argue they're not usually the smartest. But they have some of the highest IQ required to lead. Because the higher you go, you need more EQ than IQ. So EQ is the ability to manage self. I know many people start with the self-awareness. Self-awareness is good, but self-awareness alone is actually emotional illiteracy. If you say, I know who I am, I have a hot temper, everybody should know I have a hot temper, so come on. What are you going to say? You guys, you know how I deal. Just them knowing and you knowing is not emotional intelligence. You start applying intelligence to your emotions when you can tell your emotions to sit down, Grace. Like, hey, Sarah, anger, sit down for a minute. Panic, chill, take a chill pill. I literally speak to my emotions. I show people in class how, even in a coaching scenario, I can help you speak to those emotions at critical moments. Take, for instance, the 2-minute power pose. And I've taught that to a lot of powerful people. How to regain your power and stop looking like, a high schooler or whatever in a meeting because your emotions are starting to manage you instead of you managing them. And that's where emotional regulation comes from. I mean, this is a whole topic and a deep topic, but it takes skill, it takes a lot of inner power, it takes practice. It is a skill that can be learned and not in one day. But you do need that in order to really transform others because they can literally say, I'll give you a clear example again. In one country, there's a country executive who told me that he went to a meeting late, Grace. And when he arrived late to this meeting, it was like 10 minutes late. The people just stood up and walked out of the meeting. He had come with his presentation, his laptops, and 11 people, all of them, working within his team and reporting to him. And the minute he walked in, the people stood up and left. And then he moved to the room where they had gone, and the chair of that meeting ripped him apart in front of his entire team completely. How dare you keep us waiting? You can go back and, you can imagine all manner of words. And he stood there, breathed in and out. Many people at a leadership of his level. I'm telling you, somebody at the top of this organization, and it's a big organization, and it's number two in terms of market share in its country. And whip to shreds the top leader in front of everyone. He went back with his laptop and his team, and he sat. And the team were like, no deal is worth, being disrespected like that, talked to like that, and everything. But he sat and he had to tell his emotions to equally sit down. Maybe even take lower stools. Just sit there. Let's breathe. Let's look at this. We've been running after this deal for 3 years. If we win this deal, it takes us from number 2 in the market to number 1, just like that. I'm 10 minutes late. Yes, somebody is ripping me apart, but there could be many other things. Hurting people hurt others. If you know the principles of emotional intelligence, there are certain principles, and that is one of them, the pain principle. So hurting people tend to hurt others. When you have emotional intelligence, if you can regulate your emotions, you can understand yourself, you can understand dark days, then you can understand other people equally have bad days. And sometimes Sarah could be screaming at Grace, but it's not about Grace. Grace has just brought forth an opportunity for Sarah to unleash the unseen, invisible pain. When you understand people to that level, that's why I say it's deep, then you're able to take a pause and say, you know what? Maybe not all of it is about the 10 minutes late thing. Maybe there's something else, or even a test. So if I'm going to win this deal, I'm going to need resilience. This is my opportunity to demonstrate resilience. And so he sat there and breathed. Those people walked around, went around, did whatever. 2 hours, they were told he's still there. So imagine this guy who had torn him to shreds, said, let him come in, he has 5 minutes to convince me. And he told him, why I've told you? It exercised humility and patience. A level that shows me how important this deal is. Now, I've breathed, I've eaten, I've done what, and you've not moved. Tell me why you're here. And that's how they sorted it. And today they are number 1 in the market because somebody regulated themselves. But let me tell you what now happened because I was watching his team, hearing this story. And the team said, some of us are here, Sarah, 10, 12 years later because of that moment. Watching that, we knew we have a man who can go beyond human emotion, and it transformed us. And we faced hurdles. Believe me, every time a mountain comes forth, we remember that day. And we are like, no, we are also equally going to navigate this challenge. So these are clear examples. Even in my coaching journey, I'm really, really humbled to hear stories of real transformational leaders through their action and their behavior and the consistency of them going after their vision. It is so deep that nothing really gets in the way.
I like that the legacy lives on, because there's somebody who talked about legacy. But Sarah, leadership can be tough. Exercising humility and vulnerability at the same time can be very tough. And sometimes your vulnerability can be used against you. Richard, can you hear me? Okay. I saw you guys had frozen. I don't know what's happening today. I even changed the internet. I don't know what's going on in my house today. But anyway, so can you hear me now? At least I
Yes.
can see I can see your movements. There before that you guys were freezing. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I apologize for that. So, leadership, I was just having this. I mean, we just discussed this, Sarah, before we jump on the call. But leadership is tough. It can be demanding. The balance between vulnerability, humility, but more so being able to lead, I mean, to balance of the demands of leadership and the demands of leadership at home. So, how do we cultivate, even with our children, how do we raise transformational leaders? And how do we switch ourselves into transformational leaders before we take the questions from the audience? How can we go about?
About family, you know, I have a big one. In this day and age, six, all right? Now, out of them, talk about my eldest daughter who held a leadership role at the age of 22. She works in the UK and is still a leader now at 26. And recently she sent me a video with a song. And it says that in my teenage years and my early 20s, I hated my mom because of all the rules she put and all the responsibilities. Everything had to have structure. And I used to be like, oh, she doesn't want us to enjoy life. Oh, she doesn't want us to sleep. They want us to do this and that. I had to structure my family in order to stay working. Being a working woman, an African woman, and a leader requires a lot of navigation, both at home and in the workspace. You cannot be to others out there that you cannot, something which you cannot give at home. So balancing that and making sure you're staying authentic. Who you are is who you are. Because I teach personal branding, I keep saying one of the best ways to understand what brand you have given or provided out there is to look at, do people say the same things about you outside and also inside your own home? So it's been tough raising those kids and trying to really showcase what it means to be a leader. And sometimes it means you'll have the three categories of people: the haters, the diehard lovers, and the people in between who are always doubters. And I kept telling my children, even if you're my blood children, you will move through these categories. There are times you will hate me, there are times you will doubt me and my actions, and then there are times you'll understand and you will love me completely. And so my daughter's song stated at the end of it, and it brought tears to my eyes because it said, at 26, I have become all those things that I previously hated about you. And now I realize they're actually a method of surviving, a method of leading inside and out, and also a method of being true, not being fake. And that's what it is. And let me tell you, Grace, there is no more powerful feedback you can ever get in life than your own children. You can receive feedback from everybody. Everybody will have whatever thought they have. I have adult children. They sit me down and they tell me, and they take me through their chapters of life and what this felt like, what that felt like. I think the times I had to miss their poems, I had to miss their school run, I had to miss whatever, and I did miss. I'm very honest about those things. There are times I had to hire people to do certain things for me so that I elevated my leadership career. I kept saying, I will resent my own family if I have to give up so much to the point that it is painful. And I keep using my children as excuses. My kids are not SMEs, they are not my small and medium excuses. So I've had to find that balance of where I disappoint, but then be able to take my own vision and my personal mission forward and legacy, and also where I just pause work and pause everything else. And that's why I am known for having taken like 1 month leave. I don't take the 1 week, half a Friday, or I don't know what. I don't do those things. I take full months off and I'm out and I'm unapologetic. And I've done that for years, even during my employment years. And it is good because then my children remember big chunks. Basically, it's the balance between value and volume. I felt guilty for very many years because of the messages of motherhood and parenting I received moving through leadership, that I'm either great at work and poor at home, in terms of success, or I'll be great at home and then a great housewife and mother and a poor employee. But in trying to change that narrative and trying to balance out all those things, I found that, you know what, it's about verbalizing when you need help. I think I posted something on TikTok the other day that I'm the most shameless person about seeking help. And what is leadership? It is working through others. So at home, I work through others and I make them part of my life. I've made my family my team, and I've made my team my family. Many of the people I've led, they know we still have WhatsApp groups until today. We are chatting. They give me business. They send my invoices in many places. And again, that's a really, really, flattering way of looking at it. I must have done something so touching for you to call me to your organization to resolve an issue that you saw us resolve together. So that's legacy. That's, in all humility, it's something that you look back and say, I touched certain people. So the litmus test of a leader is not how many projects you led to the finish. It is how many leaders you have raised. So start counting, even for those who want to have leaders, to become leaders. Know that it is a God given responsibility to leave behind leaders, either like yourself or better than yourself in this world.
Wow. I'm over here just typing leadership is not about projects, but about leaders, creating other leaders.
Mm-hmm.
That is profound. And I like that you saying, I want to be you when I grow up 1 month leave. Richard Umeskia, entrepreneurship, the longest I've had is 2 weeks of leave. So we will work on that. Now, there's a question, Sarah, from Mogesi, who is saying, how do you handle a leader who doesn't have emotional intelligence as someone who reports to such a leader? If you're the person now who is being led, how do you handle somebody who does not have emotional intelligence?
First things first, just know that they are a manager. They might be managing you, but they're definitely not leading you because they don't understand that leading you has to come also from the heart. That's why it's a triple H approach. It's the head and the heart before the behavior and the hands and the activity. Therefore, first of all, aligning that, that's okay. There are many times you could have a higher IQ than your manager, right? It takes time. If you really have emotional intelligence, the other side of that quadrant is managing others. That means upwards, horizontally, and downwards. All right. So you need to start understanding who this person is. There's a whole training where I talk about feeding your lion. And it begins with this statement: no matter the economy of the jungle, know that your lion will never eat grass. So if you have a manager and they only understand the subject of money, maybe you're in sales or results, if you're in projects, or I don't know, name it. You have to understand what touches them. All the lions have something that feeds them. Have you ever seen and gone on a safari? A lion is looking at you and it's not running after you, it's not chasing, it's not whatever. Because you have found out how to tame it, how to make it just chill. Maybe it's eaten, it's okay, so you're coming out at the right time and everything. Same thing with your manager. You have to know they are non-negotiables. In fact, I keep saying the more vocal, the loud ones, the extrovert ones are very, very clear. You will know what this person cares about. But sometimes we are so focused on the issues and the pain that we fail to see the opportunities of being able to navigate such a manager. And let me tell you, it is part of your growth. It's part of your personal, journey because if you face, and that's why I wrote that article on, the bosses from hell, because they made me grow. I had to watch these people from far. For me, it started even from my family. My story is on YouTube, you'll know. Coming uh, from a polygamous family, and my mom being the last one, and then her disappearing on us when we were very young. I was the girl there, and nobody wanted to see my face. And I had to eat. I had to go to school. I had to take care of my brothers. I had to navigate the lions in our home, my friends. I had to know how to persuade, how to influence, where to be humble, the timing of when to ask for things because I needed stuff. I had to know how to navigate my father, how to navigate everybody else. So these lessons helped me also in the workplace. The people I was told are the ones that are the worst are the ones I took my time to learn what are those things that are so dear to them. Is it a good report? Is it the formatting? Those people who can just nitpick your report on the format or the spelling or the whatever, and then just focus on the things they keep pointing out. You're not even starting to understand the patterns. When I teach about potential, I talk about, having environmental radar, having the ability to recognize recognition of patterns. I teach about many things in potential, but that's one thing I see somebody's potential in navigating and becoming a great leader in future. They're able to recognize patterns. Grace comes in at this time. She seems to be very short fused in the afternoons. She's fresh in the morning, so maybe I set up my meetings in the morning when I'm asking complex things. Grace tends to tell me she's put a 1 hour meeting and then she gives me 15 minutes. So I need to know how to get my past 15 minutes, sorted and everything. So when I'm teaching people, I tend to ask them to go away, pick up the patterns, bring the patterns to my coaching table. We sit, we look at them, and then we are able to see how do you navigate these ones and how do you, including the good patterns. I mean, even your lion has some good things. So it's not, again, just you also looking at it from a negative eye and seeing everything as a negative thing, but us being able to understand people and back to emotional intelligence. It's the regulating yourself and regulating others through knowing others. Because you're self aware, you should be aware of others as well. So, those leaders are your homework, by the way. Just pay attention to their patterns, pay attention to what really matters, even ask the question. I mean, I was a tough leader, but I admire anyone who has the guts to look me in the eye and say, Sarah, what keeps you awake at night? What is making you even make noise this week? What can I do in my docket to make you happy? Intelligent questions. The better the question, the better the answer. When you get the answers, take notes. Don't take notes. There's a difference. Take notes and master how you navigate those things. I had a CEO who said so many yeses to me, and he was saying no to all my counterparts, and they were asking, Sarah, how do you get the yeses? I was like, this guy loves tennis. No, he loves golf. So I brought a golf stick in his office, literally. And I told him every time I come in, I don't want to do a presentation. I'll take you through something. And as we hit the golf ball, I went to learn just to be able to navigate this guy. And we became buddies. And I got to know so much about the thing. And he kept saying, Sarah, I hate it when I walk into the office and everybody's running after me. I'm already agitated. You don't know what has happened at home. You don't know how my drive here was. You can't even give me an hour to breathe. I bite everyone who comes into my office the first hour. But the guy is gentler as the day, goes. And he used to stay between 6 and 7. That's when I used to go to his office. So I used to tell my husband, look, I need a yes on something. So today I'm gonna work a bit late just to get him when his nerves are calmed down. So please go back and understand your leaders. They're also human beings. Learn how to navigate them. Don't just paint them as all negative. They also have certain things that they like and they just wish somebody could ask them. Okay?
Yeah, I hear you, Sarah. I remember my my supervisor one time, you could not get anything done on the 26th and 27th of the month. So we knew not to go with the crazy propositions at that point. However, if you wanted a yes, anytime after that, and you went in the afternoon around 11, not just late in the afternoon, around 11 o'clock, you would get answers. But if we went at 8 a.m., it was a definite no. Yeah, so I can relate with what you're saying. Now,
It's
there's a
when I
question
come
from
from trips. I tell my
Yes.
team, I've just arrived and it starts with questions tomorrow. Question 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, I'll bite. I'm tired.
Hey,
I'm knackered. My brain is whatever. Give me 1 day peace, and then I can
yes,
answer your question. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And Lavemba is saying, is it possible to presume a leader lacks emotional intelligence, yet they're just using a different leadership style?
We've said and we've defined emotional intelligence as the ability to regulate and manage your emotions, and that then leads to how you communicate. So because you're managing your emotions, you're also managing, and I call it, especially when I'm coaching leaders, sieving, right? I keep telling them, no matter what you want to say, the gut feeling to just say, pardon my English, but this is a stupid remark in a meeting, telling somebody that. You can sieve that word and find synonyms. You know the way you click on a word and look for synonyms when you're doing word or typing, whatever. You should do that as well with your brain. Okay? That's why Grace has said emotional intelligence is a muscle. So stop, take that word, find synonyms, and there are softer or better or kinder ways of saying that's interesting, but we won't probably consider it for this particular session. You understand? In many ways, when Muzungu tell you something is interesting, they're telling you it's plain blank stupid. But they have a nicer way because their English is their language to find ways to round it off. So when you're thinking, if you're thinking your leader lacks emotional intelligence, maybe it is true. Maybe they're not regulating their emotions. Maybe they're not even vulnerable enough to have emotional exposure. Emotional exposure, which is vulnerability, is a way of sharing a piece of you as a leader so people can see the human side. Because they tend to think, it's just you, your office, your job, and everything. I got into leadership during the days when I would enter the lift and everybody gets off, even though they were going to third floor, they'll pretend they were going to first floor. I walk into a restaurant or a bar where my staff are, and probably I want to buy them drinks. I come from the washroom, everybody has paid their bill and disappeared. Again, they didn't fear Sarah, they feared director so and so. And there was something synonymous with those job titles. That's why for me, I found that job titles actually hindered me from building authentic relationships with people across different layers of the organization. And therefore, I had to come to everybody's level and be able to show some emotional exposure. I just give short stories like, oh, you know what, my daughter failed math today, and I'm not really in a good mood. What am I doing? I'm helping you see. We also go through stuff. If your child failed English or didn't get into school last week or uni or whatever, we have the same problems. We are not immune to those things. But most leaders don't do that. They show that perfection, Mr. or Mrs. Know It All type of leadership. And it's very hard for people to follow you when everything looks so perfect in your life. So
Mm,
please,
I, I,
yes,
I,
I understand that leaders can have low EQ. That is true. But it's up to you to just navigate some of those things and know that they're just as human as you.
I totally agree. Sarah is saying, how do you specifically navigate between nasty and nice way of leading to achieve an objective in a sales environment, for example?
So I've I've worked in sales-driven organizations. I mean, they're cutthroat. The story is just results, results, results. However, the nice leader builds trust first. Once they build trust, they get your commitment to the results. They build the team, they bring the team together, but they hold you accountable. That's why I say they're nice, but they're not gonna be bullying and harassing, but they are going to push and apply pressure and hold you to your commitments and hold you accountable to get the results done. All right? But they do it in a very partnering approach. And for me, my team says the best way they can describe it is that we can be partying with Sarah until 3 a.m. And if we have to meet a client or deliver something by 8 a.m., she's the first in the class. She's there by even 7 a.m. You understand? So I will hold you to higher standards or the same standards as myself. On the other side, nasty is just nasty. They usually don't do what they're pushing everybody else to do. They usually don't show up for things that they're saying are that important. They usually just grab your, even in a sales environment, they are sharks. They are competing with you, competing with their own team. You come and say, I've gotten a great deal with a client and everything. They say, oh, let me come and open up or close the deal for you. But they close it and say credits. That's just nasty. So there's a big difference in the intention, right, behind that leader. And they don't build trust. They don't care whether you, in fact, they're not trustworthy. You don't know what they'll do next. They'll say this and they'll do that. And sometimes it's also a lack of training, knowledge, I don't know, upbringing, name it. But I'm sure with knowledge and development, we can all change.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think people can learn. I don't understand this anyway. The nasty part. Mugesi is saying, and this is probably from an advisory point, if a HR position comes up, would you advise somebody to apply and compete with their boss or supervisor?
Coaching you, absolutely yes. Why not? And I can tell you two people, actually even in our country, who are now their boss's boss. By
Mm,
all means.
mm.
Mhm.
So
If you
how do you
don't get it,
navigate? Mhm,
sometimes it will
mhm.
be hard. And even when you get it, it'll still be hard. And probably that's where, and Grace will agree to this, you need coaching to be able to navigate that
Absolutely.
situation. Yeah, but it
Absolutely.
happens. Mhm.
Absolutely. And shoot your shot. Um, Flavia Atuhaire says, how do you navigate a leader who doesn't understand your role, but is using you to do the wrong things?
Um, Actually, I have a whole flip. We call it flip discussion. How you flip it to the right thing. You flip the wrong things to the right thing. So somebody probably asked you to go and photocopy paper or to go and do a personal errand or whatever. And how you flip it probably in writing and saying, did you mean this, and put something that is actually in your JD. That is along those lines, but actually in your JD. I had to teach my daughter this because unfortunately she also had a really, really tough and nasty person leading her in one of the jobs in the UK, and bordering even racism and snide remarks and making her do things below her role. And I just taught her how to flip the question. And she flipped it for a month and she told me, Mom, I think this guy just realizes they have a smart person who's not going to do ABCD. So it can go like, you mean, you understand? And then you flip. It's like somebody telling you to go to Nakuru and you know you look after Nairobi as an area. So you say, you mean um, I should do this in Nairobi, right? Things that are done in Nakuru. Or I should tell so and so who does the Nakuru thing to do it or whatever. You understand? So, or maybe clarify. Sometimes you can just ask for clarification. That can also push back a bully. Okay, please clarify what you just stated or what actually needs. And sometimes it's just having courageous
Mm,
conversations. You know, courage is not the absence of fear. I'm not telling you you won't fear. It's actually doing stuff despite the fear. And that's something I had to teach my daughter to do.
mm, mm. Very, very important. And I think this is a very important question. Is we wait, Richard, you're up next if you have any question for Sarah. But Joseph Kenyanju is saying, is it normal for a leader to at times feel like they are not good enough, to doubt oneself?
Yes, the imposter syndrome. When I teach about personal branding, Grace, I keep and I share stories of the times, even after, like, I'm a global speaker, right? I have spoken on stage in Sydney, Australia, in the US, in UK, in whatever, and how I went to UK at the Grange, and something kept telling me, no, you're not good enough. Even when they were reading my when they were reading my awards, when I was looking at the audience, I still could not believe it's okay. It's human. Sometimes that little voice. But how do you navigate that? Please be very consistent with journaling your, what do I call them? Undisputable achievements. You know, I've gotten to a point where I can tell people, no, you can go check my profile on Google. Google me. It's a nice place to be, but I say it with humility. However, there are people who will question you to the point you question yourself. So if you did not journal your undisputed achievements, and for me, I've been journaling every Friday. I will put two big things that I've done and achieved that week. Two big things, two big things. Two, not when I'm revamping my CV, Grace, not 3 years later, or no, every Friday. I put down the two big things that I did that week, even if it's just meeting someone like Nelson Mandela or whatever, greeting, I don't know, the king of whatever. I will journal it. And that book, two of my daughters are now awake. And the one doing engineering has her book. The other one has her book. As I said, they read it. And that again shows them the legacy from which they are built. And for me, I read those books to remind me, let nobody tell me I do not have. And the second thing, I walk around with my file of undisputed achievements. So, like you and I are consultants, you can imagine sometimes they have to send testimonials. Hello, those testimonials, they need to read them to remind you who you are, just in case somebody wants to doubt or do whatever. So, yes, there are times you will think you're not good enough for that job. There are times that message will come and tell you don't deserve it or this and that. There are times that voice will make you feel small. If you're journaling, if you do this exercise, I'm telling you, you read it, and I'm telling you, kuna vile tu, that heart of yours and that mind of yours and that brain says, I did that. And I was taught by a coach to say, I did that, I did that, I did that every morning. And I'm like, huh, I'm ready to go. I did that.
Absolutely. Pick yourself up. Yes, Richard.
Thank you very much, Sarah Richardson, for that very enthusiastic presentation. I have two questions or three, if there is time. Are there metrics that you can use in measuring transformational leadership? The other question that I normally associate with transformational leadership, there's a lot of burnout because you are supposed to be very empathetic to people's challenges, which can really weigh you down. How will you manage this burnout? The other question is about what informs one to choose a type of leadership. There are people you'll get the switch to transformational leadership quite easily. There are people who switch to servant leadership very easily. There are people who switch to dictatorial type of leadership very easily. So what informs one? Is there research to show that this is how people decide what kind of leadership they want to use? Some people I normally see that when you use transformational leadership, they lose their powers. Most people who do not want to practice transformational leadership. Thank you.
Most leaders actually are contextual, right? It depends on the context. It depends on who you're leading and the level of the organization. You need to pay attention to those kinds of things to know the type of leadership you can deploy for specific scenarios. However, what I know, I don't know about others, I can't speak for every leader, but what I know of myself is there's a natural leadership style as well. There's that center that you know you are. And you keep navigating, you can switch out and use the other tools that you have, but there's your center. It's like that knife in the house that you like using. You keep saying it's for meat, but we find you chopping your tomatoes with it, chopping whatever, because it's so natural to you and it works for you. So for me, transformational leadership is almost akin to who I am. I love, I am passionate about people's potential, seeing the better side of people and everything. It's not something that I learned in an MBA class or whatever or driven in me. No, it's something that is so natural to me. However, have I used authoritarian leadership? Yes, absolutely. Team leadership where they shared power? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've contextualized my leadership style depending on what the need is, but then also trying to navigate and build the team to a level where they move to my natural leadership style. So it's okay to borrow and to pull and to use and to contextualize, In fact, you can all go and read on situational leadership as one of a really, really good way of reading the situation and then applying your leadership style to that situation. So, yes, some of these things are very, very natural to you, and you have to do, you won't feel like you're faking it when you're in your natural leadership style, but you can deploy the other styles. I will also talk about burnouts, especially for transformational leaders. You can go through burnouts. You can come in and want to be everything to everyone because you're considerate of everyone's feelings. For me, I'm known to walk into the house and I pass through quick mart. I want to shop. I want to bring home. I want to cook the same day. I want to do, and then at night, I'm just like, I can't even have a conversation with my husband. Actually, my dear husband is here helping me tonight. So you can see how life just moves in a transformational leadership world. And I do the same as well. I want to give back as much as I receive. But you also know there's a balance. There's a time, part of it is being authentic and saying, I'm just tired. I'm crashing. And I think that comes with experience. And it comes also with the confidence to be able to seek that help or to just you're not seeking help, but you're just saying it's a statement, it's a fact. I'm crashing. I'm tired. I'm feeling like something is gonna pop. So, but you have your circle where you can speak those truths and somebody can just hold you. They don't even need to say anything. They can hold you, and by holding you, I'm saying they can help you with your job. Maybe I can take Grace's calls and help her, navigate something or jump into one of her trainings and help her out, or she can jump into mine and help me because we've been vulnerable with each other and saying, you know what, I'm crashing and I have this important thing to do. So as you grow in experience in that leadership style, you will also learn how to just be able to say no, pause, rest, read your body, read your mind, read your heart, and talk about it. We are very charismatic, so we talk about it a lot. Either we tell stories, we write posts, we share, we have ways of being able to do it, but you need to seek support. What was your third question? I think he spoke about the leadership style and then the balance,
The measure.
and then there was something
Mhm.
else,
The
the
measurement. How
metrics.
do you measure? Yes, the metrics.
For me, it's that one big one. How many leaders have you grown? How do we feel Grace's legacy to the point I meet somebody and I'm like, deja vu? Is this Grace? You understand? Just by meeting someone whose work gives you. They live, they breathe, they act. There's so many ways they pick, knowingly or unknowingly, they pick stuff, the way you do things. So that's one of the biggest measures that you are a transformational leader. You leave a piece of you, a very intrinsic but big piece of you in others.
Yeah, yeah. That is very,
I'll be
very
here
good.
until tomorrow, the way I'm seeing the questions coming through.
Yes, I was actually about to say that. There's temperament. What role does one's temperament play? That is your personality or what? But yeah, you can comment on that as we come to an end of this conversation because we can be here all day. And before I invite people for the Africa conference, but yes,
Yes, they should come,
there are
so
a
we
lot
can continue
temperaments.
this conversation. Yes.
Yes.
Um, so the role of the temperament is quite big in many things that we do. Uh, our temperament works with us every day. I will say that confidently because I mean, as an expert in psychometrics, I use them to understand the center or the central processing power of a person, and that's your temperament. So definitely, if you're introverted temperament, there is a way you can still be a transformational leader, but you just have a different processing way of doing it. The things I'm talking about sieving, you'll be sieving naturally. Well, for the extroverts there, they have to like literally speak to those emotions and sieve the words and everything. One processor is fuller. I never call people slow. I'm very careful with language. I say they are full paced. Others are fast paced. And therefore, because of those differences in energy, in pace, in orientation, I mean, temperaments, again, are deep conversations. I hope everybody understands what I'm talking about here. But all I can say is yes, it plays actually a big part. in who you are and therefore how you lead in this time.
I totally agree. And allow me to just take this opportunity to invite you guys to what we are calling the Africa Leadership Conference. This conference is going to be taking place from the 1st to 3rd of October, and we're going to be continuing with this conversation. You can see Sarah there. She's right there in red, and we have quite a number of good lineup of speakers. We have Kenya well represented, we have Rwanda represented, Nigeria is right there, we have Tanzania, we have Uganda, we have Ethiopia, and these conversations are going to continue happening from the 1st to 3rd of October. And this is going to be here in Nairobi. So for all the people, I know we have Ugandans on the call, Tanzanians and Rwandans as well. We also have some Nigerians and Ghanaians. And anyone else who is on the call, kindly join us on the 1st to 3rd of October here at Sarova Panafric in Nairobi for this continuation of transformational leadership. And we are going to have quite an amazing time networking, just getting to meet each other and getting to learn more from one another and just see what are the other people doing in their organizations. How can you become better, you as a human being, and how can you transform your society as well. So we are going to be from discussing conversations from your self-leadership, leading organization, and then impacting the society. That is what we're going to be spending 3 days of this conversation from 1st to 3rd. And as you can see, we have Madam Kuresha will be there, Stephen Karangwa from Rwanda, Mr. Gobir from Nigeria. We have Rispa Genga from the CFO of EABL. We have Sarah Richardson. We've just heard from her. We have Fred Wasike from Isuzu. I will be there. We have Dr. Francis Kangure, who talks about sustainability. We have Rachel Dumba, who is a board member at Serena. We have Dennis Derua, who is the Secretary General Trapa. We have Alice Kiprono from British Council. We have Victor Komu from Gather World. We have George Ngogi from who is the president of the coaching ICF Kenya, and then we have Bhavesh Chandaria, who is the CEO of whatever steel, what do we call Ethiopian Steels or Safal Group. And we are going to just be having this conversation around what are the issues that are affecting our leadership and how can we do better. And this will be happening from the 1st to 3rd of October. Join us and come and meet Sarah in person. She will be there. Sarah, I'm tempted to ask you to come have your video on for a minute and just give us your parting shots.
To give a shout out to Cynthia. I can see her here. Hi, Cynthia, and everyone else who's on here. My parting shot is, you know what? We get to have one life, and leadership for me, I always feel it's a responsibility given to me for a higher purpose than just telling people what to do and giving them tasks or delegating. I really, really believe that we should be to others that which we want others to be to us. And it doesn't matter whether you're sitting at the top of the organizational structure or anywhere within it. Power is a responsibility that you need to use well. That's all I can say for tonight. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Power is a responsibility that you get to use. Thank you. I think that is a very, very good tweetable tweet. And for those of you who are taking this on LinkedIn, please make sure you tag Sarah and myself. And we look forward to having more conversations. And Sarah, we don't take it for granted that you could create time for us. Really, really grateful. And if you're looking for a coach, look no further. And she has not talked about Pink Potential, her class and her public speaking class as well. She has quite an amazing array of programs that you really should take advantage of. And if you don't know how to find Sarah, contact me, or you can, I'm sure she's about to write her contact details on the chat. And she's going to tell us how we can get a hold of her. So thank you so much. And to you, our audience, we cannot do this without you. Thank you for creating the time. And apologies for those of you, we were not able to take all the questions, but I know we cannot normally cover this within the hour that we have, but we really don't take it for granted. And of course, the team Sarah Solutions, we thank you for being here. And to you all, let me just copy paste that, Sarah, because you've sent to hosts and panelists. Okay. Get her in your organizations. I can tell you your managers will never the same. That I can guarantee and take to the bank. So, and if it does not meet your, it's already there. Okay, thank you. If she does not meet my promise, let me know. We shall refund you. And yes, thank you so much for being here. And we're looking forward to meeting you again next Tuesday for another powerful conversation. And please do not forget to join us in Nairobi for the Africa Transformational Leadership Conference. And we really, really look forward to having you and learning together and just getting to interact and network. Please follow us on Instagram at Tara Solutions, like our Facebook page at Tara Solutions. Connect with us on LinkedIn at Tara Solutions. And of course, you can connect with Sarah at Sarah Richson or myself at Grace Nzula. Sarah is the goat of EI. I agree. She really is. She really, really is. And of course, join our WhatsApp group. I think the link has been shared. And of course, Richard, where are you? I don't know whether you're still here. But yes, we also have Richard and Catherine Sidandi. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for taking your time. And we shall see you next Tuesday, same place for another wonderful conversation. Have a lovely, lovely evening.